Here we're going to try editing a rectangle that we had created originally using the polygon or rectangle tool. And in this video, we're going to edit this rectangle to be of a particular dimension. We can check the dimensions of this box by going back over to our Edit Pattern tool or selecting Z on our keyboard. And within that Edit Pattern tool, we can click on individual lines to see the length of those lines. My goal for this particular piece is to change this rectangle into a back pocket that has the dimensions of 4 inches across, 4 inches down the side, and having a little V at the bottom. Okay, so the first thing we can do is change the dimensions of our rectangle. You can do this in one of two ways. You can either take our piece within the Transform Pattern tool here and highlight it, and then take a corner and drag in one direction with your left mouse button held and dragging it. While you're dragging it, you can right click to bring up a precision box. And instead of using percentages here, we're going to do dimensions of specific lengths. So the width should be 4 and the height should also be 4. You can see when I do this, when I change one, it changes the other one because these values are linked. You can see the little linkage sign here. If you unclick this, the links unlink, and you can then change these values independently. Okay, that's if you wanted to scale something, maintaining the original dimensions, but of different lengths. But here I want them to be changed entirely. So I press OK, and I should get a square of 4 inches by 4 inches. And I do. Okay. A different way of creating a box of specific dimensions, of course, is to go back to our polygon tool, select rectangle, and instead of dragging a box of unspecified lengths, you can right click on the desktop, bring up your precision box, and add our height and width, which are now up here. So 4 by 4. Okay, that'll give us a second box. We don't necessarily need that. I'm just going to place this over here for now. If I wanted to now create a V shape at the bottom of my pocket, I will have to first add a point to split my line segment. To do that again, you go up to Edit Pattern and go down to the bottom of your menu that pops up to select Add Point or Split Line. It is an X on the keyboard. When I do that, you can see my mouse icon changes to Add Point Split Line, and I can hover. I'm not pressing any buttons. I'm hovering over the line on which I want to split, and I can use the tools that they give me to say, well, that's exactly in the middle there, and I can split the line like that. Alternatively, I'm going to go over my second box here. I could potentially be hovering over the line, and I can right-click at the same moment. That will bring up my precision box for this line. And if I want to split it into 2 lines, I can specify the individual lengths. I can do 2.5 and 1.5 if I want. What I would prefer is a uniform split. So without having to do any math, I can do a uniform split here and request that it splits that line into 2 segments. I can go as many segments as I want, and it'll split them evenly. So I'm going to go back to 2 and hit OK. So now I have 2 boxes that are split in 2 different ways. I'll go back to my Edit Pattern, selecting that or pressing Z, and I can more easily see my points and my lines. In order to move this point downward, I would, while I'm in kind of normal Edit Pattern, or Z on your keyboard, you can select that point and drag it down. You can eyeball the length if you want it more shallow or longer. I think usually shallower is a little bit better, but if I eyeball it, that looks kind of nice. Or I can use my precision box by beginning to drag, by pressing my left button on my mouse, holding it down and dragging, and at the same moment, I can right click to bring up my precision box. There's a lot of things going on here, but I know that my movement, the 0.703 that I see here, is the distance moved, and that would be the value I would need to change. That's also the negative value here in the y-axis because I'm going down on the y-axis. That's the negative value. And if instead I wanted it to be 0.75, something a little bit more normal, I could place that as the distance moved, and I can see that the y-axis changes with a negative value. And when I hit OK, it is completed.